First of all, let me just say thank you to everyone who has joined us today to help celebrate this Memorial Day, to remember those who have made the ultimate sacrifice, their families who have sacrificed, and their children who have sacrificed. We appreciate all of you being here. To all of our awardees today, congratulations for your outstanding achievements. We have numerous cadets that do great things all the time, and it's always very special we can take the time to bring some up here and celebrate their great successes and achievements after a lot of hard work, dedication, and commitment. I do want to tell you today we're real fortunate to have as a guest speaker a graduate of Georgia Military College. The gentleman attended the junior college, was commissioned as a second lieutenant, and would take off from serving in his military career. He understands what it means to be an educator. He understands and values education. He started first as a high school teacher and then would eventually become an assistant principal. From there, he would find a calling that said he needed to serve full-time in the United States Army, and he would do that for the rest of his career. Today, he serves as you read, the director of the Joint Staff here in the state of Georgia. He's the one who oversees the Army and Air Force here in the National Guard of Georgia. We're really excited to have him. He was also the first ever commander of the 48th Infantry Brigade Combat Team as an African American to be able to assume that command and lead them as he did. He has multiple combat deployments, and we're thrilled to have him back on here on campus today with us. Brigadier General Neal.
Thank you, General Caldwell. General officers, previously mentioned guests, commissioners, board members, it is indeed an honor to be here. I want to start by saying that as I looked across the formation to see the regiment formed and all the cadets standing out there, it doesn't seem like it was 29 years ago that I stood out there as well. And I'll tell you, people in the audience, if this don't light your fire, you've got wet kindling, as we say back home. I want to, again, express my gratitude for my alma mater for inviting me to speak at this occasion. I'm truly privileged to now be included in the list of distinguished speakers who have offered remarks at this remembrance and at this parade. I understand that Admiral Kirk Tidd of the United States Southern Command spoke last year. I happened to be at Southcom earlier this week and had the pleasure of working with Admiral Tidd's team and the staffs of the Georgia Guard in the country of Argentina, which is one of our state partners in building capacity for their country and increasing readiness in our own. Admiral Tidd is indeed a fine leader. I'm sure that after hearing his outstanding remarks last year, General Caldwell gave guidance that he wanted another speaker from Southcom to come to GMC. But I think the staff heard that we need a speaker from South Georgia. And knowing that I'm from Ludowici, the staff invited me to speak. Regardless, I'm proud to stand before you today and offer my perspective on Memorial Day. As I gathered my thoughts for these remarks, I first considered giving you a brief history of the origins of Memorial Day, but I'm sure you are already familiar with its beginnings. Then I thought about sharing some historical facts that I've learned over the years, beginning when I was a junior college cadet here at GMC, and some of it I learned as I researched for various papers and speeches. But given the gravity of this tribute, on this occasion, I thought it important to emphasize, especially to our next generation, that the sacrifices made for us to live in a free nation are represented by so much more than military tombstones and cemeteries. The price paid for freedom is marked by more than the number of casualties listed on a war memorial. Everyone really needs to understand that behind each number is a name, and behind each name is a person, a real person who gave their life for a cause greater than themselves, and in doing so, left behind a family, friends, and people who loved them. The soldier, sailor, Marine, and airman, the person who died in service to our great country, is not the only one who made a sacrifice. For generations, surviving mothers, fathers, wives, husbands have also carried the heavy weight of freedom. I had the awesome responsibility of serving as a battalion commander in Afghanistan with Georgia's own 48th Infantry Brigade Combat Team. As a National Guardsman, I was deployed with traditional soldiers who put aside their civilian vocation to serve our country. I understand more than a lot of leaders that not since World War II have so many of our fighting units been mustered directly from our local communities across America. If you want to understand the true cost of freedom, just spend a little time talking with a Gold Star family member. I got to know 2 Gold Star mothers over the years, and I can tell you they feel the sacrifice of their loved ones being gone every day. Their sons, Lieutenant Frank Walker and David Collins. 2 names that you may never hear again after today, but their sacrifice is representative of the hundreds of thousands of American soldiers and airmen and Marines who gave their life for this country. And their families represent those left behind. First Lieutenant Walker was from Memphis, Tennessee. He was one of 8 siblings, all raised in a military family. His mother shared with me that she knew early on that her son was destined to serve in the military. He was the son of a soldier, enjoying ROTC in both high school and college. Frank, or Frankie as she called him, graduated from the University of Tennessee and received his commission as an officer in infantry. He proudly served as an airborne ranger. He was killed on mission in Iraq. His Bronze Star and Purple Heart citations clearly note his duty to country. But what is not so evident is that his death changed not only the lives of his mother and father, but his young wife of just 4 months and his 7 brothers and sisters. If you ask his mother and father the true meaning of Memorial Day, they would also say that it means much more than historical facts related to the origins of Decoration Day. First Lieutenant Walker's father described his son's sacrifice by saying, "Our best and our bravest always go out and lead the way for the rest of us." His parents continued their commitment to freedom with 3 more sons who currently serve in the military. We will never forget. Moving on to Sergeant David Collins. To say that he was not the model high school student would be generous. In fact, Sergeant Collins dropped out of high school for lack of interest. He didn't have a lineage of military service to follow, but the events of September 11th awakened a calling in him to join the ranks of those who served to protect our country. When I spoke to Sergeant Collins' mother, she told me that he'd been dragging his feet to complete his GED. But when the recruiter told him that he couldn't join the Army after September 11th because he didn't complete his GED, get his high school, or have a high school diploma, he immediately studied hard as ever. He took and passed his GED on his first try. David Collins quickly rose to the rank of sergeant. He didn't want to be a war hero, he just wanted to do his part. He was killed in Iraq in April of 2006. His mother thinks about him every day. To say a picture is worth 1,000, they say a picture is worth 1,000 words. So if you ask Miss Lynn to tell you the true meaning of Memorial Day, she would simply show you a picture of her only son. We will never forget. These are just 2 personal illustrations that Memorial Day is not about recognizing the fact that so many gave their lives in service to our country. It's about understanding that their sacrifice has lasting impacts on those they loved. And we should appreciate that all we have in this country is because of people who paid the ultimate price. Memorial Day is definitely more than about long weekends and barbecues and the beginning of summer. It's about real people who gave their all. It's about families who live without their loved ones every day. But more importantly, we should all acknowledge and recognize it is about the sacrifice of so many. When you look back at our history, something about America should stand out over and over and time again. We've gone to conquer, not to conquer, but to free nations. Neither Iraq nor Afghanistan, nor Germany nor Japan, nor the Philippines are represented by a star on our flag. The only foreign land we ask for is to bury our dead. Freedom must be protected and sometimes fought for. While words and laws have power, they are not always enough to dissuade those who seek to do harm to us in our way of life. War is an ugly thing, but tyranny is even worse. Without the men and women who have died in the service of this great nation, the United States of America would have perished long ago. and the fortunes of the world would have been left to those tyrants, dictators, and evildoers. So today we remember, we pay respect to those who have gone on in service to our country. They swore an oath to defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and they believed in a concept greater than themselves: freedom and liberty. I've been a member of the VFW since I returned from Iraq in 2003. I joined as a life member at my first opportunity. My father, who's also a career non-commissioned officer and a Vietnam vet, taught me at a young age the importance of being involved in service organizations, such as the VFW and the American Legion, organizations that espouse patriotism and remembrance when it's often lost in the comforts of freedom and security, and peace and security. I challenge each of you to do the same, to continue to recognize those who have given their all, and at every opportunity, pay tribute to those they left behind. Thank you again for this opportunity to share a few thoughts, remember a couple of unsung heroes, and to remind everyone that the names on memorial walls represent real people who made real sacrifice and left behind real families. We are here today because of them. We will never forget. May God continue to bless this great country.
In recognition of his leadership and strong support of Georgia Military College, his exemplary service to Georgia National Guard soldiers, families, and his devotion to GMC cadets, Brigadier General Neal is being presented with the GMC Sabre by the Regimental Commander, Cadet Colonel Mobley, Chairman of the Board of Trustees, Randy New, and President Caldwell on behalf of the Corps of Cadets. Brigadier General Neal epitomizes the concept of leadership and character that we want our students to emulate.